What's happening, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna show you guys my BMW R18 bagger. So you can see it's in front of me. It's the not the first edition, so I got it all blacked out. I did not want to see any chrome on the bike, but as you could tell, they still come with it in the hinges, on the bags, the tail lamps, and the exhaust pipe. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the bike. This is kind of like the black sheep of the bagger community. It seems to be liked by a lot of people, but nobody seems to want it, and there's some reasons for it. I'm guessing obviously from BMW's marketing team, and the fact that you have these giant cylinder heads, which I'm going to tell you a little bit about in a second, just sticking out, not allowing any forward controls to be put out, which is, I guess, a cruiser and a bagger's #1 want. So what does the bike offer that I ended up loving enough to get it? Obviously, well, for starters, the price point. People look at a BMW, they think, okay, it's going to be very expensive. Believe it or not, this thing starts lower than most Harley and Indian models in the same category, and you get a lot of options standard. Now mine has the premium, so with the premium you get things like this Marshall sound system, the heated seats, heated grips. I think yeah, it's part of the premium package that you also get the adaptive cruise control, which you could see the little eye right here, or radar, whatever you want to call it. I don't trust it, I never use it, but my best friend happens to have the same bike and he loves it. The R18 came out in 2021 for the US model, and it spawned 4 submodels, starting with the regular cruiser, which is the R18. Then you have the R18 Classic, which gives you soft leather saddlebags in the back. Then you got the bagger and the Transcontinental, which is basically almost a bagger but with this giant couch and a trunk in the back. I opted for the bagger because I'm not going across the continent, but I also wanted a very comfortable bike with trunk space, which is my biggest issue with bikes, is not having storage. And as you can see, there's plenty of space. I mean, I wouldn't call these things massive, but they offer quite a bit of room in there for, you know, essentials, daily needs, whatever you want to call it. These green things I didn't take off because I don't know, just didn't feel like it. And I'm going to give you guys a quick overview of the infotainment system before we get going. And I apologize for being out of breath. It is hotter than the devil's ass here in Southern California. It's super humid and cloudy right now, so that's really not helping me. For the infotainment system, oh, come on, power up. You get this giant screen that I honestly think it's more of a distraction than a luxury, but here it is. And I'm gonna wait for it to fire up and get all the systems going. You get, you know, traditional conventional gauges up here. They even stole one out of a Rolls Royce with a power reserve, which I don't know, if you ask me, it's absolutely useless, but I guess it's kind of cool. Got your conventional tach, speedometer, and a gas gauge. Then on the dash, the only thing you get is a little power outlet for heated gear, and your passenger gets one down here. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it in the GoPro, but anyway. For the cylinder heads, you got, I don't know if you guys can see, but it is quite massive. They're there. They have a presence to them, and you know, this is all you get for your leg room. If you're kind of crafty and you decide that you want to rest your legs on these factory crash bars, I also had these powder coated and installed after the purchase. I've done a couple of things to the bike, nothing significant, but this was one of them. You got to be careful with the fraying of jeans or pants or whatnot, because again, not sure if it's visible in the camera, but you can see there's a nice burn mark on my headers. So, infotainment system, let me give you guys just a quick overview of the menu. You're just gonna hit the menu down. You got vehicle settings, your radio, nav, which works with the BMW connected app, media for Bluetooth audio, telephone if you have a headset, and then settings. Now, this settings screen was one of my least favorites because this is where you find heated seats and heated grips. So you get a heated seat for the driver or the rider and heated handlebar grips. I think it goes up to like 6 levels, but level 2 is kind of burning, so I don't know who needs the 6th. You can do Bluetooth audio. You can, you know, like I said, you can stream the map through BMW Connected. Radios, FM, AM. There's no Sirius or anything like that. And the sound system's great. I'm not gonna demonstrate it here, but I like it. I like listening to stuff, you know, kind of, you know, people I used to make fun of listening to music on their bikes. I'm now one of them, so it is what it is. Bike's got 3 riding modes. Right now you can see that I am in rock mode right up here, and I did manage to put 1,500 miles before doing this because I actually wanted to learn the bike. I was, you know, very intimidated by an 850-pound monster that I have no business owning, but here we are. The 3 modes are rain, rock, and roll. Rain is the only one that makes sense. Rock is BMW's equivalent to their dynamic, and roll is just normal road conditions, I guess. I ride it in rock just because, again, I didn't buy this thing for gas mileage or smoothness. It's plenty smooth with just the rock. And then you got your adaptive cruise control stuff right here. As you can see on my index finger, you can lock and unlock the cruise control. This way you don't accidentally toggle it. You unlock it to the on position, you set pulling back, reset pushing forward, and then this dictates the distance. It'll follow the car in front of you. Again, something I don't trust, so I'll never use it. Up here you got a locking button that basically disables the bags, your start stop, and your ignition switch. As far as this goes, you also have the same functionality with the remote. You get central locking with the bike. You could lock and unlock it with a button on the remote, and just kind of treat it like a car with, you know, or show it off. You know, lock it in a parking lot, let people look at you and laugh. But yeah, this is kind of the overview on the dash. I'm gonna shut it off for a quick second just to show you guys this as well. Gas cap is hidden underneath, I'm guessing for cosmetic reasons. It also doubles as a garage door holder for me. I tried to glue it on here, but it snapped off. And then down here is a phone storage. So the thing holds your phone down. There's a fan to cool it off on hot days, and it kicks in quite often. It is not wireless as much as this insignia, I guess, or this emblem would lead you to believe. There is a cable that BMW sells, runs from here around and routes to the bottom of your phone. I think they sell Lightning and USB-Cs. Last thing I want to show you guys is I think this is the coolest part about the bike, is going to be this exposed prop shaft that you see behind the bag right underneath the R18 emblem. You can see that thing spinning. It's just a couple of U-joints. No part of the exposed item is lubricated, so it's all just there for show. I think it pays tribute to one of their old original cruisers. Then just the Sissy bar and the luggage rack, I had that put on. That was my thing. I got it from Road Styler. It's a great company in Poland. I think I paid less than a couple of $100 for everything plus the shipping internationally, so it wasn't, you know, wasn't crazy expensive. I'm gonna fire this thing up. We'll go for a spin, just a quick around the neighborhood. As you can see, I have an Insta360, so I'm gonna try to capture some footage with this, but I don't know if you guys can see how flimsy this thing is, so I'm not really trusting it right now. So keep your fingers crossed for me, because chances are the wind might even snap it. So let's see. If it does, guess we'll have to get another one, which is gonna cost money, but whatever. We'll make a U-turn here and go down the back roads here in beautiful Glendale. There's gloomy conditions, but this is what we get today. And that Insta360 is holding for now. That's scaring the daylights out of me. Okay, bike suspension, super smooth. It's got about 4 inches of travel, and it is designed to carry all 850 pounds of this thing, plus whatever passengers you put on. The damper has a sensor. If in case you're riding 2 up, it automatically adjusts all the settings and damping to make sure that the shock absorbers are set up for the extra weight. But otherwise, it's again, very smooth bike. Like I said, 4 inches of travel in the suspension, and it's got plenty of torque and power. I mean, on paper it doesn't seem like much for an 850 pound bike. BMW's official figures are, I think, 90 horsepower and 115 pound-feet of torque coming out of this 1.8 liter Boxster twin, or 1802 cc's. That's 110 cubic inches for the SAE guys, or the Harley guys if you want to call it. And again, this is not the kind of ride I want to go out on today, that I'm gonna just, you know, open up the bike and, I don't know, speed, I guess, but just kind of a cruise just to introduce you guys to my new bike. Again, it is the black sheep of the cruiser and bagger community because people tend to like it, but nobody wants to buy it. I'm sure there's a multitude of reasons for it. Maybe a proper introduction that happened during COVID. So, in other words, it didn't happen and it was a pretty terrible flop. And these things, I mean, they'll sit and collect dust at BMW stores. You know, they have incentives on them. They have some really great incentives on them, and I took advantage of it. And but yeah, no, they sit. They're not the kind of bike that I don't know, people just like chase after and gun for, and etc., etc. And there's an officer behind me. Let me just switch lanes. Let's see here, 33. That's the speed limit. Okay, I'm not going to pay much mind to him because I think he's after me. Then there's another package called the First Edition, and you get the pinstriping, which I really wanted, but unfortunately that package of the bike gives you so much chrome. Might as well go to the Harley store and pick one of those up, but I didn't want a Harley. I actually ended up selling my Harley for this bike, and I'm not regretting it at one bit. It's been nothing but a great commuter. I've gone on a couple of road trips with it, shorter road trips, but road trips nonetheless. And for the first time in its 1,500 miles of use, it got to see some canyons yesterday, and it freaked the hell out of me. The bike is a performer. I mean, it's easy to toss around corners, it's easy to maneuver, but again, no matter how much people say on their reviews online, you know, the magazines, etc., etc., it's still an 800-pound bike that's like 25 feet long, and you know, you get some limitations, and a couple of hairpin corners certainly kicked my ass in terms of, you know, just scaring me, because I had to take those things wider than the 2 lanes, though, on the my direction and the opposite direction lane. I had to use the opposing traffic's lane to make the turn because it's so big and it's so heavy. But you know, on the straightaways, I bet you anything I was the most comfortable person on the bike. I didn't have any problems with comfort, any problems with fatigue, if you want to call it. You know, most of the guys were on their Triumphs, so obviously narrower bikes, sportier bikes. They're meant for more exciting rides than, you know, just city cruising. But in this setting right here, how you see me currently riding, this is where the bike feels most at home. It's very comfortable. It's, you know, smooth. It's not loud. It doesn't have that nasty Harley rumble, even though it's what I'm after. I got it an exhaust pipe that I'm still waiting for. It's like a 6 to 10 week delay, but I'm excited to hear those, like a 4.5-inch slip-on muffler, and the motor on these things sounds really good. It's a Boxster twin. It's a big giant Boxster twin, so it's got a rumble even with all the silencers and the Euro 5 regulation caps that are on this right now, I think. So I'm excited to open up the sound, but again, nothing obnoxious. It's not, you know, it's not that potato Harley thing. It's just fun. It's like a, I don't know, it's like a cultured, civilized, modern take on a bagger from BMW, which has probably no business making baggers or even thinking about it, but here they are, and they did such a great job. It's just unfortunate that this bike is not picking up the way, the way the Harleys and Indians own the market, Harley especially. I mean, that goes to show that you're gonna pay $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 more for a bike that offers you so much less than a bike like this. And that's proof that Harley is doing a great job owning the market on these things, and you got to give hats off to that company for holding it. They're holding the market. They're still commanding all the money for their bikes. There's dealer addendums, the Harley freight setup, whatever, PDI fees, whatever you want to call it, and people pay up. People pay all the interest to finance those things. I got 0.9% financing on this bike, and it's hard not to take it when nobody else can touch it, and especially today's interest rates on average are in the mid to high 4s. It is August 2022, so if you're following what's going on in the world, well, in America at least, borrowing is not really fun these days. But BMW threw 0.9% financing. I think they did it for I think it was up to 4 or 5 years. I got the 4-year loan. And yeah, I mean, it's a really easy entry into the bagger scene without having to pay all the premium monies of, I don't know, getting a Harley. And Harley deserves it. While people pay, they should charge. And people will keep paying until, I guess, the generation of the heritage chasing, rumble loving V-twin guys is gone. But I don't see that going away anytime soon. I still turn my head every time I see a Harley bagger, because I would love to have one. It just doesn't make sense financially, or logically it doesn't make sense when I got this bike. There's no point in having a second bike that does the same thing. And I plan to keep this bike for a while, because every day I'm falling more and more in love with it. It's, again, not the ideal, not the standard issue bagger, if you want to call it, but it's unique, it's different, it's beautiful. Like, it's put together so well that it's hard to turn away from a bike like this. Just, I think BMW ought to bring more of them out and show it to people, especially at bike meets. Get them out to Sturgis or something, get more exposure on it. Let people ride it. I think they'll just pick up some sales just by, I don't know, having a presence as a company at these events and allowing people to try these out. I know 2 people who own this bike, myself and my best friend, and he got the first edition, which, yeah, I'm jealous, just except for the chrome parts, but I haven't met another owner yet. I'm part of this Facebook group of R18 owners. There's barely any bagger guys. I think there's like 20-30 bagger guys. Most of them go for the classic because it's the ideal, fun, exciting, like bare bones cruiser. And I don't know, I think the baggers ought to get a little bit more coverage from BMW. Let's see. I'm hoping you guys like this video. Again, it's a very unprepared video, but I really want to share my bike with you and show you why it's worth maybe considering one of these instead of like again, just the run-of-the-mill typical, the expected baggers. If you guys have any questions about it, or if I missed any topic on the bike, drop me a comment. Let me know. I'm happy to answer them. And go try one out. Honestly, if you're considering a bagger, go try this out first above all else. It's still $4 or $5 grand cheaper than the next bagger you might consider. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Cheers.